Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Today I'm reviewing Meeples and Monsters from AEG. Meeples and Monsters is a worker placement bag building game from AEG in which you are trying to use your meeples, surprisingly enough, to fight off the variety of monsters you're going to have in the scenario over here. You're going to have monsters slowly invading the quarters of the city as you try to figure out how to use your bag building meeple situation to sign the right meeples to slowly build up your bag, build up your pool, and take them down. That's the basic idea of the game. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So, the core game structure is going to involve you basically going through a monster deck bit by bit, trying to take down these monsters that are invading the city until eventually you trigger the final round and start taking down these lords over here, these evil Balsa Doom and Sapsuka and Sauron, whoever that Sauron guy is, trying to take these people down for as many points as possible. Throughout the course of the game, you're going to be taking down a variety of monsters in the various quarters while trying to assign your meeples in the right way to level up everything, to level up your people, your bag, your various heroes themselves on your board. You'll be trying to figure out that every turn. You're going to start off the game, every single round you're going to start by drawing meeples from your bag into your quarters, drawing meeples, and then trying to have a certain number of meeples in your quarters that you can then use for your actions. You're going to use these meeples to assign to various locations on the board, but first, before you dive into the core worker placement, you have the opportunity to build a building. So you can assign 2 meeples to build a building, or you can assign 1 meeple, but then you'll have to add a white meeple from the supply to your pool to build a building. Effectively, do you give up 2 workers to build something, or do you give up 1, which means you can use the other meeple for something else, but then you're diluting your bag with white meeples, which are okay, but certainly not great. They're better than the gray meeples that are useless and clog up your bag, but they're much worse than the blue, red, green, and black meeples that will help you as you go through the game. So you first have that action over there where you can try to build a building. When you do so, you will grab a building, you'll place it down in the specific area, grabbing the reward if shown. So for example, if I place it here, I will grab a red meeple, put it into my lodgings area, and now I have a new meeple there. I'll build a building, I'll put my 2 white meeples over here, I don't want to dilute my bag, and that's my first action there. You'll also have the opportunity to level up your meeples over here by paying a cost in experience points, and in the points you have in the game, you'll pay those points in order to level things up, which means I can go ahead and level up that red meeple right off the bat because of the fact that it costs 0, so I'll grab a red card over here and start the process of leveling my cleric up to a level 2 card over there, slowly improving what these meeples do for me as we go through the game. From there we go to the core worker placement zone, where after the initial worker placement you'll then use the variety of meeples you have left. Again, not the gray ones, those are corrupt and don't really help you, but I'll use my remaining meeple over here, and let's say I'll put it over here, which requires any meeple, and I'll go ahead and get a yellow meeple, which will help me because this location that I built will need a yellow meeple, which will enable my red meeples to do more damage this round. So you're trying to figure out which meeples to assign. You'll take the meeples you earn, you'll put them into your lodgings, you'll shift all remaining meeples at the end of your turn to your lodgings, and then you continue the process of cycling through your bag. So it's bag building. You're adding meeples to your bag as you go through it, you're trying to get better and better meeples, and you're trying to slowly do all these things on the board. Now, a few things we haven't talked about yet is during the course of the game, whenever a area is overrun, whenever you have an area of the city that has more than 2 cards here, basically a single or 2 or more cards, a single card in an area of the city, in a district of the city, does not cause it to be overrun. But having an extra card here means whenever you go here now, you'll have to assign an extra meeple to that location in order to do that action. Basically, think of it as the city's overrun, people are fleeing with panic towards you, and you're not really dealing with the monsters, so at least they shelter with you, which the problem with that is that means you have to add an extra white meeple to your bag, again diluting your bag. So you want to be mindful of going to locations with an overrun city will dilute your bag in ways that are not helpful. Alternatively, if you do choose to go fight the monster by assigning strength equal to the monster in your meeple strength to those, your meeple strength is going to be dictated on those cards. At the start of the game, only the black meeples are worth an extra strength, everyone else is worth 1, but they will upgrade as the game goes on. If you assign enough strength to monsters, so let's say I go ahead and assign this black meeple to that monster over there, then I could go ahead and put my meeples elsewhere because the monsters are being dealt with by the various units. So you're trying to build up the city slowly but surely, upgrade your workers as you go through it, and then assign the rest of the meeples to various locations, taking into account the monsters in play. Now the good news is taking down monsters will reward you with points and also various rewards. You'll have quests for over there. For these 2 monsters you'll have quests. Later monsters will reward you by upgrading your meeples and giving you different tableau options. If you pair up a blue meeple with a red meeple, it'll be worth an extra strength. So you'll have those aspects of the monsters you defeat will both give you rewards, they'll give you points, and they'll give you ongoing benefits to improving your tableau. And that's the core cycle of the game. You're going to go through that process. You're going to start building up more and more buildings, adding more buildings to different zones, upgrading your bag, adding more things to it, slowly building up the city, taking down monsters. At the end of every round, you're going to add monsters for those depleted from the stack. You'll slowly go through the level 1 monsters, you'll go through the level 2 monsters, level 3 monsters, and each of the stacks you're going to have a card that will slowly upgrade the game as well. So you have an aspect of slowly adding more meeples. You're going to go from drawing 4 to 5 to 6 meeples every single round, and then eventually you're going to have the end game where you have to then have 2 final turns. Once the last and third card is triggered, you'll have 2 final turns to go ahead and fight these big bads over here, where you could assign your meeple strength to these meeples to take them down. And that's basically the game. That's what you're doing. You're going to go through an action, draw some meeples from a bag, assign those meeples to locations, build out the city, upgrade your people, try to build out your bag, upgrade your tableau. You're going to have a whole bunch of quest cards. I'll show you some of these quest cards over here. Quests are going to give you specific rewards for things you've done in the game, different things you've accomplished. If you do certain things, you'll get points, and if you keep that quest in your hand at the end of the game, you'll lose points, but you'll also get different rewards. This quest will give you the reward that whenever you assign white meeples with the black meeple, the white meeples are worth an extra strength. That'll help you there. This is going to give you an extra strength against a different type of monsters. So you have all these ongoing rewards in addition to the points that you're gathering, and that's going to hold true for the monsters as well. As the monsters level up in strength, they're also going to give you stronger rewards. Your blue meeples are worth an extra strength. Blue meeples are worth an extra strength. Those strength is going to make it so that when you hit the end game, when you're fighting against these big bads over here that require 12 strength to defeat, but also give you certain rewards as well, you'll be able to assign a handful of meeples and take them down in the game. As well as I mentioned already, you're going to have the aspect of upgrading your own personal cards over here. So you can have all these level 2s and level 3 cards that you're slowly upgrading in order to be able to strengthen their stats, as well as give them abilities for all the types, as well as there are 3 special types of meeples that'll be unlocked through buildings. You'll have certain buildings that will unlock special meeples as well. They'll give you extra rewards and extra things that they do in the game, and that is meeples and monsters. Which brings us to the review, starting off with ease of play. Game is overall pretty easy to explain and go through. It's like 3 or 4 pages of rules, not a lot going on. It's a bag building and worker placement. If you know those things, there's very little new things happening here. Bag building, worker placement, a drop of tableau building as you upgrade your people and add quests and monster rewards that make your people stronger. And that's the cycle. Go through that cycle, take on the monsters, figure out what to do so with these cutesy little meeples over here, where they're cute if you have the Kickstarter version with the screen printed or stickers. I don't know if they have, but this is the retail version of the game. But yeah, that is Meeples and Monsters. Easy to play, easy to get through. Plays in roughly an hour. Could drift a little longer if you're playing it with kids and whatnot, but roughly an hour plus. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking about this game, starting off the bat with you're building out your pool. You're building out your worker pool, and you're building out your tableau, and you're trying to customize all of that around the buildings on the board and how you want to achieve your core specialty in the game. What are you good at? You're going to make your blue meeples super powerful by trying to get every single upgrade for those. You're going to try to evenly distribute how you upgrade your board and your tableau as you go through the game. Are you going to seek more buildings so you can prep for the end game? Are you going to try to take down more monsters so you can start getting those points early on? There's a few pathways you can take in this game as you try to figure out what to do, how to do it, all while upgrading your bag. Weeding meeples from your bag, getting better powers, merging and matching different things in different ways that will help you out. This is ultimately bag building and tableau building with worker placement, and those are all just basically fun things. You're also going to have some nice combos you'll develop as you get those quests, as you get those monsters, and as you upgrade things, you'll have nice combos that are slowly developing. The quests in particular are slowly going to give you ways to feel more powerful frequently as you go through the game. They're a lot of fun. If you ignore the quests, you may well find yourself losing out because they're both going to give you points, but they also build up how good you are at different things, and so there's a lot to focus on there. You get to the final end game over here. You're going to have these monsters which you can just straight up tackle and take down again and again and again if you have built up your bag powerfully enough throughout the course of the game. So overall, just solid worker placement, tableau building, bag building. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all is the end game feels a bit procedural. The very nature of the end game and these monsters over here is they kind of stay in play for the other characters so everyone has a chance to get to them, unlike the normal monsters which is first come first serve. These guys stay in play, which makes it a little bit like kind of like you feel like you get to the end game and you're just kind of like knocking the monster on your head with a token like just going to smash you and move on so someone else can smash you again. The rest of the monsters feel at least a bit like you're taking something down. The end game doesn't feel like you're taking anything down. It feels like you're lining up to get your hit in and then moving on because they stay in play. So it removes the sense of feeling like the city's being overwhelmed by monsters and really straightly tells you that this is a game about building up your thing for an end game close without actually having to worry about the consequences of winning, losing, not losing. It's a little abstracted in that sense. Also, the game doesn't give you that many reasons to keep coming back. This is a game that does everything well, but doesn't do things that are that variable. The core puzzle, the core engine feels the same game to game, and the buildings are a bit variable, so you have that, but you will see most buildings in a single game. There's not like a huge stack of them, and you tend to see most of them throughout the course of the game, and they don't even feel that differently. One game you make the black meeples a little better, one game you make the red meeples a a little better. I think the game could have strongly benefited from different upgrade cards. You can choose how to upgrade your meeples in different ways, either within a game, or alternatively, alternatively having some cards for this game, some cards for that game, giving you slightly different puzzles. Because the upgrade cards are the same every game, and again, because you generally will, throughout the course of a game, you will generally have the ability to upgrade all your characters. You may choose not to because of points and whatnot, and sometimes it's not worth it, but you'll often have the ability to upgrade most of your characters, if not all of them, and to see almost all the buildings, which means, and like the endgame commanders as well, the biggest variability you'll see is from quests and whatnot, whether you see all those quests or not. Even then, you tend to go through a decent pile of those. So the game works, but it doesn't give you a lot of reasons to keep exploring it. It is a little bit on the lighter side with not a ton of variability, so it's just not a ton of reasons to keep coming back. As far as things I can see others not liking, first of all, it is a lighter experience. Take that into account. It does what it does well, but it is on the lighter side in the genre. Additionally, ultimately, it's bag building, and that comes with all the luck you'd expect from bag building or deck building, as you pull out a terrible handful of things, as you try to pull out all your Krupp workers to pair up nicely with another card, and it just doesn't play out as you expect. So it does have that luck aspect. You have to be fine with that. And lastly, the theme is very campy. I mean, this is called Meeples and Monsters. This is leaning very heavily into the fact that it's a meeple game, so that may or may not work for you. Some of you will find it cutesy and adorable. It is cutesy and adorable, although again, the Kickstarter version is cutesier and adorabler. But if you don't like that, this is very campy in the actual theme on the table. As far as final thoughts on Meeples and Monsters, to me this is a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed the overall experience, I did, but I feel it didn't necessarily add a lot to the genre. I feel like it's one of those weird ratings where on its own it probably is a 3.5 out of 5, but when I'm comparing it to other games in the genre and how long we've had board gaming and different things, I just don't feel this does anything particularly different or well. I feel they took a campy theme, a cutesy little theme, stamped it on the game, and the game works. It's totally fine. It's totally enjoyable. I have no complaints. It also doesn't really stand out at me as being that interesting. The decisions aren't that innovative. The tableau building is there. It feels like it doesn't feel like it adds a lot to the genre, I think, is the biggest complaint I have. It's not bad, though. It does work. If you like the cutesy theme, and you want something that's very family-friendly and does the job, this definitely does do the job. Not a bad game in any way, but also not one that particularly stands out or impresses. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, I think everyone's going to say Lords of Waterdeep. This is a game that feels very reminiscent of Lords of Waterdeep in terms of the way you're building up the city, in terms of what you're doing, in terms of that worker placement. It throws in the bag building, but it basically feels like Lords of Waterdeep without the same level of interesting decisions that Lords of Waterdeep gives you. And then secondly, I'll say Rampage. If you're looking for a campy theme that leans very heavily into like the meeple and over the top and all that, but one that does so, I think, more interestingly and is a better match for the mechanics versus the theme, Rampage, or alternatively is called Terror in Meeple City. Terror in Meeple City is the new name for it, so you can check that out. Terror in Meeple City is another campy meeple-themed board game. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.